title because he is one of the outstanding downhillers of the world, except when he gets in the air and he breaks out of his tuck. You'll see him being especially good on the middle and the bottom part of the course where it's toughest. He's not one of the world's best gliders. You can see every time he hits a bump, he comes up just a little bit. But when he gets down in the middle on Aztec and spring pitch, watch him go. He's approaching the middle now. Franz Klammer, there's a split time. Klammer has been erratic in practice all week. And he has not won here at Aspen since 1976. Well, number one was not the best number to have on the top, pushing that soft snow. But it'll help him down here in these tough turns because it's much smoother. You can see he can keep his hands together a little bit in front of his face. Better for aerodynamics. Klammer usually has his hands wandering all around. That's that Klammer style, and he'll probably do it in some of these turns down here. Franz Klammer, now 30 years of age, currently third in the downhill standings. So he's got this race and one in Canada to do well and finish in the top three. Watch him come through this last difficult turn now in Norway Island off the last jump. Here comes Klammer to the finish line, the first skier on the course, and he establishes 152.10 to beat Franz Klammer. Peter Mueller is on the course. Peter Mueller from Switzerland, born in Zurich, just in a suburb of that metropolis. A former winner here at Aspen. He was third in the final training run. He's been training well, and in that candy striped suit, he loves the top of this course, Billy. Well, Tim, the reason is because he's one of the best gliders in the world. That means he keeps his skis very flat on the snow. Look at how they wander just a little bit. They swim a little bit on the top part of the course. He keeps his hands right in front of him. Now comes the toughest part, Aztec. This is where the turns are very sharp. It's very steep. See if he can hold it together down here. Mueller a little faster than Klammer on the top. Here comes the tough turn right here at the bottom of spring pitch. You can see it's kind of bumpy. He sat back right there. That's a dangerous place to sit back. You don't want to get in trouble on spring pitch. Peter Mueller, the silver medal winner at Sarajevo, behind America's Bill Johnson. Would he love to win here at Aspen? Here's where he had trouble now in these last couple gates in practice. He's coming into this Norway Island turn where there's a bump in the middle of the turn. Throws you off balance back a little bit. Made it through pretty well right there. That's a good run. There's a time to beat. Mueller, the second man down the course, driving for the line. And Peter Mueller will come in ahead of Franz Klammer. Let's go down to our former Olympian Andy Mill with Franz Klammer is correct because Bill Johnson is running number 19. Meanwhile on the course, the exciting young Swiss star, 21-year-old Pierman Zubrigen. And this young man is currently the overall leader in the World Cup standing of Ingmar Stenmark. Well, Tim, he's one of the world's best giant slalom skiers. He makes outstanding turns, and you'll see why when he gets onto this next section of Aztec and then spring pitch. He's just coming across the top flat, and he's got a great time on the top. This should be really excellent now for Pierman Zubrigen because these are the turns where he'll be his best. Watch his skis carve through these turns. Look at his hands in front. He's really going for speed down here. Now comes the most difficult turn of all, the turn at the bottom of spring pitch. His skis bounce around. He's carving around and hands in front again. He's having a great run, Tim. Pierman Zubrigen by the Berlin Wall safely. Watch for this young man in the future. He is a rising star on the World Cup Tour. Loves to ski all three events. The Swiss coaches think he could be another Jean-Claude Kelly. 75 miles an hour through that turn. Up in the middle. Let's see if he can combine his giant slalom skills with his downhill skills. He had a great time through there. He's got a great run going. He's got a chance to catch Mueller. His teammate Mueller's time on the left, and there's the new leader, Pierman Zubrigen of Switzerland. Todd Rooker will be next up. It's been a difficult year of kid back at Aspen, the Subaru International World Cup Downhill, and here's the defending champion, Todd Rooker from Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. 2 falls earlier this season, a fall in training, a bruised thigh, but here he is defending his title, Billy. Well, he wanted to come back, but he almost didn't make it back. 2 days ago, he said he couldn't get out of bed with that bruised thigh that he had. But he is an excellent glider. He should be good on the top. He's extremely strong. He's been working hard on making his turns. But he's a great athlete, too, and you should see it come through down here on Brooker Bump. He's coming into Aztec, and he's got a great run on top. That was the test for Todd Rooker. His knees and his sore legs hold up in this difficult section on Aztec. 75 miles an hour now, coming down into Brooker Bump. How will he do off here? He did well. Now into spring pitch in the turn little bit of speed.
Rooker safely by the Berlin Wall. Falls at Locks and Kitzbühel early this year. Recovered, skied at Sarajevo. Not real well for him, but battling to defend his crown here in Aspen.
Now he comes down into this last section. He's coming up on Norway Island turn. That's where he had the problem in training. He came through the middle of this turn right here, hit the bump and fell over backwards. He almost did it again, Tim.
Todd Rooker, there's the time to beat. Gerry Sorenson of Switzerland, 1:49.89. Rooker, the defending champion, trying to catch him. And he can't do it. He can't do it. But Rooker goes into second place behind the young Swiss, Gerry Sorenson. And of course, on the course is Anton Steiner, 25 years of age, from Pragarten, Austria. You know there is revenge in mind for all of these Austrians. They were embarrassed in Yugoslavia. He was the only Austrian to gain a medal. Somewhat of a surprise, he won the bronze, bumping Hardy Weirater off the Austrian team in the trials.
He has really been a surprise because he's basically a slalom specialist. In 76, he was really good. In the late 70s, he was good in downhill and then started to get hurt. He wanted to run downhill, begged the Austrian coaches to let him run. Here's going to show his stuff now on Aztec. Carving his turns around, hands in front. He wants to go for this race and really do well. The difficult spring pitch turn. Watch him come around here and try to keep it smooth. The skis are bouncing around. He's starting to get rough already. Now he's on to the flat. He's got just a minute's rest, a couple seconds rest before he gets on the straw pile. And now his test is coming up here too. Look at him carve those turns around. Hands in front, he's very quiet. And now into the Norway Island turn.
Anton Steiner going very well on the bottom here. The bronze medalist behind Johnson and Mueller at Sarajevo. Would he love to beat Johnson here? Zubrigen, the current leader from Switzerland. There's his time on the left. Here comes Steiner, 1:49.85. He is the new leader. Steiner, the leader. Zubrigen has slipped into second place for the third time behind Steiner this season. And of course, Steve Podborski still to come. His supporters are here. Last year, 6-year-old Steve Podborski from the Toronto suburb of Don Mills in Canada. He has a win earlier this season at Garmisch. He is really mentally ready and has been skiing superbly in training, Billy.
Tim, he is mentally really tough. One of the toughest things in downhill racing is to come back from an injury, to be able to push yourself right to the limit and still look for more speed. And this is what Podborski does well. He's coming down through here on Aztec. This is where he's best. Hands in front, tucking down through here, 75 into the spring pitch bump. Now the spring pitch turn. This is where he got hurt last year. We'll see if he comes through there, and he does. He comes through there very well.
Steve Podborski still with an outside chance at the downhill title, but he needs a win here today, and then he'd be going home to Whistler in Vancouver, Canada next week.
He wants to do well here too. He was the first North American to win an Olympic medal, a bronze at Lake Placid in 1980. The first North American to win the World Cup downhill title, and he would like to win here.
He's made no secret at all of wanting to beat Bill Johnson, who he thought was a little too cocky at Sarajevo. But Steiner's the man he's chasing right now. 1:49.85
to him because of a communication problem. Now let's see how he does here.
Running behind Rooker's time on the top, but turning them well down Aztec.
Look at his skis bounce around down here on Aztec. The course is really well prepared, but because of that new powder snow in these turns now, you're starting to see the ruts and bumps. Right there, he almost lost it in that turn on spring pitch.
Heflaner skiing with a bad left knee as well, but he is skiing with a great deal of determination, trying to catch his teammate Steiner. Remember, there's a lot of embarrassment on the part of this Austrian team, and with an Austrian in the lead, Heflaner would like to catch him or be close.
Oh, he's good down here, Tim. He carves those turns around. Watch those teams just carve around really smoothly. Okay, here's the last bump now. Down into the finish line. He's got a good run going.
There's Steiner's time to be 1:49.85. A near miss there by Heflaner, and he skis to the finish line. 1:49.85, a tie. That's a downhill run. He is here at home in Aspen, Colorado, in America's downhill. Does not figure to win this race, but you know Billy Kidd, he'll be trying.
Oh, he would like to win a downhill, and he was only a second out in the training run here. It isn't likely he's going to win, but he could do very well. He's gained the respect of all the world's top racers because he doesn't train downhill. He just shows up for the races, and he does incredibly well. He's an outstanding athlete.
We want to point out there is an incorrect time running for Phil Mayer here that has no relevance to his actual time.
You know, Phil and Steve have really taken U.S. skiing a giant step into the future. It is outstanding to see him do so well. We're going to miss him.
Steiner and Hoflander, the time to beat. 149.
All right, he's coming down through the top part really well. Let's see what his time is at the top of Aztec.
Johnson expected to have the best time across the top. Now he's into Aztec. There's the time, and that's fourth best across the top. Billy's going to have to win this thing on the bottom.
He wasn't the fastest at the top. The question is, can he keep it going all the way down through the bottom? When the course is so rough, the visibility is difficult. Here's the airplane turn at the bottom of Spring Pitch, and he was flying through that turn. He is flying down this course now. The bigger question is, can he make up time on the bottom part of the course? This is going to be very difficult.
Billy Johnson is skiing very, very smoothly for a man they said was not a great world-class turner.
But he is a turner. Look at him turn, Tim. Those skis are carving around through the turns. But he has his expertise as a downhill racer with aerodynamics and puts his hands in front of him all the time. The last turn to the finish. He's got a great run going, Tim.
There's the time to beat. Steiner and Hoflander. Johnson to the finish line, and he's got it. 149.60 for Bill Johnson, the winner of America. Looked to me like nearly a flawless run.
Bronze medal in Lake Placid 4 years ago, an 8th place finish for Steve Podgorski today, and of course, this does not sit well ever with a champion.
Maybe I had some idea that this is going to be not cool. Things haven't been going exactly well for the last couple of weeks, and you know, it's hard to win sometimes. It's not like, I mean, it's been obvious it's not really my kind of course, and so I didn't do well. You know, sometimes I can transcend myself, but this wasn't one of the days.
The number 15 starter today was 24-year-old Todd Rooker of Paris, Ontario. Truly an amazing story. Back from a bad knee injury sustained at Kitzbühel just a bit more than a month ago.
You know, Al, Todd was in the driver's seat. He had number 15. He's the last guy in the first seat. All the other racers have gone down. He would know what kind of a result they had. In this stop still would give him an opportunity to really prepare himself. But, you know, you got to think back to the fact that when he fell in Kitzbühel and he hurt his right leg, it takes time to heal. And it's difficult to have all your confidence and to let it all hang out and ski right on the edge when you're just not as strong as you know you should be. 107.09 is midway time. He's more than a second behind the best midway time to that point. And as he comes down to this bottom section of the course, he's thinking, just stay low, carry the speed, just go as fast as you can and carry all the speed into the finish. But I think he knows inside that he just wasn't 100%. An excellent pre-jump at first, then he gets stretched out. He loses a little bit of speed there, a little bit of time there. Comes off this next jump, pre-jumps really well, swings his arm a little bit, but that doesn't cost him as much as you think. He does stay down low in his touch.
A 9th place finish for Todd Rooker, but nice to see him back from that latest knee problem, and he'll be great when the Cup Tour returns to North America.
My major problem was our training yesterday. I just wasn't in there, and on this course, I mean, I had been progressing. I had been skiing better every time down, but I never really hit it well, or never hit it perfectly once, and I never had the best time on it. And I think that's really important for me to be able to do. And I skied about as well as I could have today, and it just wasn't there.
Europeans took the other medals today. The silver went to veteran 26-year-old Peter Mueller of Switzerland, who was 4th in Lake Placid.
Well, when he hit the midway time, he was 0.2 of a second ahead of Billy Johnson. Peter Mueller is such an excellent glider. He carries speed off the top well. But as he comes off this bump, he gets stretched out, almost loses it, and that costed him. It's like throwing out a parachute. Then this bump, he does even worse. He gets his tips up. That really slowed him down. I mean, you stick your hand out of a window at 60 miles an hour, put your hand straight ahead, and then hold it up against the wind. You can imagine how it slows a full-bodied racer down, especially a guy as big as Peter Mueller in relationship to Bill Johnson.
Quite a surprise for the World Cup champ of 1980, a silver medal. The bronze went to Anton Steiner of Austria, the 25-year-old who wasn't even on the Austrian team until the very final training run when he beat out Hardy Weihrbacher.
Well, Al, it's amazing to think that the medalists today in this downhill are even in this race. First of all, Bill Johnson's a whole newcomer. He's brand new to the tour. Peter Mueller is a guy who had been kicked off the Swiss team, really shouldn't be here, had to fight for position. And Anton Steiner, who just lost the race there because he got his parachute out, he shouldn't have been here either. He wasn't even a downhill racer for the last 3 years. He just happened to make the Austrian team, much like Leonard Stoff back in 1980 in Lake Placid. remarkable runs by these individuals.
And a surprising finish, Johnson, Mueller, Steiner. And let's not forget our own 22-year-old Gary Athens of Kelowna. He was the #1 starter today.
Well, you know what I like about him, Al, is the fact that Gary's got so much potential. He really, really can stay low in his position and hold a position, and he's looking for speed. He's a racer that looks for speed. But the problem that Gary's got on today's race is that he's controlling the skis so much. You'll notice that his skis are so smooth. He looks so smooth that it's deceptive. You'd say, why wouldn't that be fast? Well, that isn't the kind of racing that you do in international World Cup competitions to be fast. You've got to let the skis float. You've got to let them run in the corners and not fight the snow. If you do, it's like having stiff shocks in a car. You know, every time they hit a bump, they just jam into the snow. The skis are not running. They're not smooth. Gary is our future. He's our potential. He's a guy that can really lead us on to future victories.
A 26th place finish, but great experience from a young man we'll hear lots from in the future. And a second Alpine gold for the United States with Bill Johnson of California and a new star on the world ski
Yeah, it
scene.
was. I came up there and I was a little nervous at the start, and then I just kind of calmed myself down in the starting gate by just, saying relax, you got it, all you got to do is make it down.
And the Olympic women's downhill was staged after a 4-day delay. Controversy struck the event yesterday as the race was started and then stopped due to fog after 10 skiers had completed their runs. The Swiss team were particularly irate in that Michelle Ofagina had posted a super time, and they felt the race was stopped because of Canada's Gerry Sorenson losing a ski near the top. Jim, it actually was the fog.
Well, it was the fog, and that was the main issue. But you see Sorenson, as she comes down here, the ski came off because there was a great big hole in the course. Actually, for that reason, they never should have started the race. But they did. In fact, you can see the ski goes into the hole, comes off here. That's what should happen in that situation.
Well, here she is, 17-year-old Michelle Ofagina, a 1-2 punch from Switzerland, her and Wallace. She was the fastest yesterday before the stoppage, and she was the fastest today.
You know, the incredible thing is she's so young, and yet she's got so much poise and control. Yesterday, she turned in the best time of those skiers that did come down. She kept her poise. She came down on this course, the same course today, and even turned in a faster run, carrying the speed and being dynamic all the way down. Now, you see down up here in the upper section, she's carrying the speed, just gliding. Now she gets into the gun barrel area with all the turns. She's making excellent turns. She comes up on the wall, holds her skis in position. She doesn't let them slide out, carries the speed. Then she comes into this big left-hand turn. And as she comes through this turn, you'll notice, Al, that this is where she won the race. She delayed, then she got on the edge. She cut inside of everybody else's tracks, and she hit the middle-way time, 49.05, takes over the lead, and she carried all the speed onto the bottom, and that's what won it for her today. She really skied well through that turning section and carried all the speed onto the bottom. As she comes over this last knoll, she controls the turn very well, doesn't fight the skis, pre-jumped both of these turns very well, didn't get out of her turn, carried the speed all the way through the finish.
Well, this certainly cooled the anger of the Swiss from yesterday as the 17-year-old sensation won a gold medal, and what a future she has.
Just a remarkable skier.
1:13.36. And here is the other half of that dynamite duo from Switzerland, 20-year-old Maria Wallace. She was the favorite going in.
Now, Al, you saw there right out of the start, she had an excellent start, but she doesn't quite position right. She came right up on that first gate, almost went through the first gate, had to readjust her position just to keep her balance and not catch her arm or her tip on the ski. Incredible control of her abilities and incredible control on the course. She hits the midway time, 22:20. She's ahead of Ofagina at this point on the course, but she loses it right here. She slides low, starts to slow down. Then she gets back in control, makes an excellent 2 turns there, comes into this turn, holds it well, but she's had problems up above. 2 times on the course. That makes your concentration not as strong as it should be. As she hits this area, she's too late getting onto the turn. She slides wide. She's right out into the soft snow, and when she hits the middle time, she's 49.02. Now she's only 0.03 of a second ahead. But because she went out on the soft snow in that turn, didn't carry the speed all the way down to the bottom, and is, in effect, just not going as fast as Ofagina was. She's got to maintain the control and stay low all the way to the bottom, but she's already lost it.
A beautiful lady and a silver medal winner for Switzerland, Maria Wallace. We'll be back to look at our Canadians when CTV's coverage of the 14th Winter Olympics continues in just a moment. was won by 21-year-old Olga Charbatova from Czechoslovakia, the first ever downhill medal for that country.
You know, Al, the funny thing was that the Yugoslavians here didn't expect anybody else to win. They went to a scenic shot. They come back. Charbatova crosses the finish line with a turn, which is remarkable to me. Turns in the best time, looks up and goes, or turns in the third best time, looks up and goes, wow, I just won a bronze medal. And it's amazing from the second seed.
And there they are, the happy winners. The coach coming over to congratulate Charbatova. But let's not forget our Canadians. First off, here is Inglewood, Ontario's Laurie Graham, who finished 11th.
Well, Laurie has an excellent start. She gets out of here quick. She's in her tuck. She's carrying excellent speed. Now, what you've got to look for in these top racers, just like the men, is the gliding. Are the skis jumping around? Are they relaxed? They are. She's letting the skis glide. She's got an excellent tuck. She's been working all week, trying to keep her concentration with all the delays and going through all the problems. As she comes down here to the first interval time, she hits it at 22:64. She's already 0.3 of a second behind Ofagina, who had the best time up to that point. She slides a little low there, gets right back in control, hits that gate. That bothers your concentration. Then she comes through here, slides a little bit, doesn't maintain the control over the lower ski. And as she comes into this big roundhouse turn, the big left-hander, where it's so important to carry the speed from there to the bottom of the course, she doesn't quite control it, then gets back over it and carries it back in. But she's lost it up above. Hits the middle time, 49:69. Now she's 0.6 of a second back. She lost 3 on the first 20 seconds, another 3 in the middle 20 or 30 seconds, and now she's got to maintain a low position all the way down. You know, the Canadian girls, even though they've really worked hard and trained hard, just seem to have trouble on the softer snow courses, and you know, it's something we're going to have to work on in the future. You see her time here, she comes in 1:14.92, and at that point it put her in third place, but as more racers came down, of course, she dropped back.
She slipped into 11th position, and of course, her teammate was also giving it her best shot, too. There's another look at Gerry Sorenson, who is the girl, of course, we talked about earlier, who lost the ski yesterday. She was a winner at Puy-Saint-Vincent earlier this season, and today she finished in 6th place.
Well, the same thing, Al. When she hit the midway time, she was already 0.6 of a second behind. She gets to the bottom here. She caught up a little bit of speed, hit the time with 1:14.30. It put her in third place for the moment, but she dropped back as more racers from behind pushed her back.
Jim, we had 2 other Canadians in the race today. Karen Stemmel, the 20-year-old from Kettleby, Ontario.
Well, Karen hits the midway time at 50:46. Now, she's a second and a half, 1.6 out already. When she gets to the midway time, it's so important to carry the speed off the top flats right out of the start, through the middle turns, and then onto the bottom part of the course. I was excited to watch that Stemmel and Savajarvi really tried their best. They put in a great performance. She lost a little bit of time there, again throwing out her parachute by getting up in that big open position. It just really slows you down. 1:15.64.
She finished eventually in 22nd position, while Lisa Savajarvi from Bracebridge, Ontario, who actually ran 9th in the giant slalom earlier, finished 18th.
Well, Lisa has an excellent crouch, but she had that really stunning performance in the giant slalom. And as she comes down to the downhill, the same thing. She was behind at the midway time, really didn't lose any more time on the bottom part of the course. An excellent crouch over that bump. Lost it there on that one, almost fell over backwards, got back in her crouch. But you just can't afford those little mistakes at Olympic competition.
So it was a case of no medals for Canada at Yahoo Arena today, but with a gold and a silver, the party is on in Switzerland, and there is our winner. A very happy champion she is, Ofagina.
Yes, as you say, a great day for the Swiss. Michelle Ofagina, Maria Wallace are coming in silver, Olga Charbatova of Czechoslovakia, the bronze. CTV's coverage.
If you look smack in the middle of it, that little alley going in there leads to the starting gate. Here's the story for Frank Gifford.
You know, the reason this house exists is a very interesting story. Olympic rules governing the downhill call for the downhill course to have a vertical drop of over 800 meters. After the Olympics were awarded to Sarajevo, they came up and measured this little baby, and they found they had 791 meters. So what do? It's kind of tough to raise a mountain. Aha, very ingenious. They built a house, they put a restaurant in it. The racers actually start on the roof of this house, and presto, they have their over 800 meters requirement. You know, only in the world of alpine skiing could we find something like this, and Well, I think my pal Bob could probably tell me how they came up with this kind of solution.
Well, you know, we just
Has been hammered for much of the past week by an unbelievable winter storm with gale force winds and heavy snowfall. But today, Mother Nature has smiled on this rugged mountain some 15 miles from Sarajevo. The winds are down, and there's a promise of a perfect day for the week-long delayed running of one of the most exciting events of the Winter Olympics, if not in all of sports. A huge crowd has gathered off of about 800 meters. The Yugoslavians developed this area after the Olympics were awarded to Sarajevo some 4 years ago. And last year when they ran the pre-Olympic downhill here, they had a lot of accidents because of some big bumps on the course. Now, those little dots are gates. Those are to control the speed and make sure the racers are not going to take out the crowd, a fence or a tree or something like that. Here are the 17 cameras from which we will be providing the coverage here at Belashnica.
Often you start a downhill race by almost diving through a hole in the roof of a building, but that's exactly what happens here. And the speed really picks up fast. And then this big right-hand turn right here, I think the most critical part of the whole race course, because if you miss that one, you're going to lose all the speed, which is important. Right down here, which many of the racers feel is the fastest part in the whole race course. Important because coming up the mid-station flats, you can see the mid-station over on the left. And this will also tell how the skis are running. They have several pair of skis they've been trying to select. Hopefully they selected the right pair. Also the right kinds of wax. Might also mention that as far as the ski racer is concerned, he's going to be averaging speeds of over 60 miles an hour. And when you consider he started from a dead standstill, and he's got turns built in there, on some of the straightaways, he's going to be hitting speeds of nearly 80 miles per hour. Now we can see terrain change. This all iced up. And also nets over to the side in case he falls, so he doesn't slide off the course and into the woods. Also a series of turns coming up right here. This is where Franz Palmer fell during training. Critical to hit these turns very well. All kinds of weather this week also. We've had fog one day, wind another. We've had snow that had to be removed. And then a combination of all three that caused postponement of the race itself on race day. Now coming up, a big turn, a critical turn called the carousel turn. You have to hit this one right. Here it is coming up right through here. The carousel turn, very important because you'll lose a lot of speed. Now coming up the lower part of the course. Might mention here that this race course favors racers called gliders. Kind of a new term used in downhill ski racing. Means the ability to ride a ski flat, be able to stay in a deep, low tuck, and the bumps, coming over the bumps on the lower part. They change a little bit every day. Sometimes you fly 60 yards, some 50 yards, so the racer never knows because the snow conditions keep changing. The second of the bumps. Now they're going to be in a low crouch, a low tuck. Conditioning starts to be a factor. And now coming now, and we can see the finish line. An interesting look at the men's downhill as it will look
off for the starting position. Then all the other racers follow according to their results over the past year. This is a very unique starting house. The race is a 22-year-old youngster from British Columbia. His best finish, it was in Bingen, where Bill Johnson won. He was 5th there on the course, Bob.
He probably benefited in Bingen from a late start number, but now he's moved up into the first grouping. We're going to be able to see, Frank, on the top part of this course where it's been windswept, so you'll have a little bit of soft snow and then a patch of ice. That could cause some problems for the racers also.
It gets your attention very early, that quick right-hand turn, and then the traverse. And here he is again, Gerry Athens.
You can see him setting his hip into the hill a little bit so his skis will track on that traverse so they don't slide. Athens is